Message to my sister that, well, things aren't really what they've seen. There's so much misperception.
When I was trying to appropriately name it, it was a flopumentary. It's so much.
The articles that go out about family aren't directed by her or approved by her.
For years, Meghan Markle's story has lived under a cloud of mystery, that strange silence that makes people lean closer, wondering what's really being hidden behind all that glamour. But tonight, that silence is gone. And it didn't come from a tabloid or a royal aide or even Prince Harry. It came from her own sister, Samantha Markle, who just dropped a revelation that no one saw coming. She claimed Meghan had a hysterectomy at only 28 years old. Let that sink in for a second. If that's true, then every glowing pregnancy announcement that came after all those bumped photos and soft interviews suddenly stopped making sense. And just when the internet began to buzz, another woman stepped forward. No mask, no trembling voice, just steady eyes and 5 words that flipped everything upside down. I carried Archie and Lilibet. Imagine that, someone claiming she was the one who carried both royal children. Tonight, we dive into what she revealed, why it lines up too perfectly to ignore, and how Harry's role in this is far deeper than anyone ever imagined. Because what she said next, it'll leave you breathless. For most families, surrogacy isn't a scandal, it's a blessing. People celebrate it, share their journeys proudly, thank the women who helped them become parents. It's beautiful. But Meghan wasn't living an ordinary life. She was a duchess, married into one of the most secretive families on earth. When you wear that crown of royal expectations, everything changes. Every birth, every bloodline, every baby matters, not just emotionally, but historically. The royal family doesn't just have babies, they produce heirs. And heirs come with paperwork, doctors, records, witnesses. Everything is logged, archived, guarded. So imagine if a child wasn't born from the mother's body. If something in that sacred lineage broke, what would that mean for the family that defines itself through generations of blood? It's not about being judgmental. It's about heritage. And if Samantha's claim is real, then Meghan's pregnancies would have been medically impossible, a truth that could shatter her carefully crafted image overnight. She had built herself as the unstoppable woman, the actress turned duchess, the rebel turned royal, the mother who glowed effortlessly through each pregnancy photo. But a hysterectomy isn't something you recover from and move on. It's permanent. It ends the possibility of natural pregnancy forever. So if that surgery happened, then those glowing photos and baby bumps weren't a miracle, they were an illusion. People started connecting dots, the timelines, the interviews, the disappearing details, and suddenly, nothing added up anymore. The world began to whisper, if she didn't carry the children, who did? And then, out of nowhere, the woman herself appeared, someone no one had ever heard of before. She called herself DL. She didn't show up like a victim. She wasn't nervous or shaking. She was calm, almost chillingly composed, as if she'd been waiting years to finally speak. Her first words hit like thunder. I carried Archie, and I carried Lilibet. Not I helped, not I was involved, but I carried them. Both. Entire pregnancies. Twice. DL wasn't claiming to be an egg donor or a bystander. She was saying she was the woman who actually went through the pregnancies, while Meghan smiled for cameras, holding a bump that the world now wonders if it was even real. Think about that, 2 completely different realities unfolding at the same time. Meghan in designer gowns, glowing for the cameras, and DL in a quiet clinic room, dealing with morning sickness, fatigue, swollen ankles, and ultrasounds. 2 women, 2 pregnancies, but only one allowed to exist publicly. DL said she wasn't treated like a person, just a vessel, a body doing what they needed done. Those were her exact words. Cold, haunting words that make you rethink everything you ever saw in those glossy royal photos. Because if that's true, this wasn't just about surrogacy. It was about erasing someone entirely, making the woman who actually carried the royal children invisible. She stayed silent for years, hidden behind an NDA, until now. But here's the part that sent shockwaves. DL didn't just talk. She came with receipts, medical logs, appointment notes, doctor signatures, everything dated and stamped. And the timing? Every date matched perfectly with Meghan's public pregnancy timeline. Not close exact, it was like 2 calendars running side by side, one for the public, one for the secret reality. DL said it all started in 2018. Right after the royal wedding, while the world was still swooning over Meghan's fairy tale love story, she was being escorted through private clinic entrances under strict secrecy. No waiting rooms, no witnesses. The process was handled with military precision. She described the contract as thick pages upon pages of legal language, but all pointing to one rule: silence. Once she agreed, she would disappear. No interviews. No acknowledgments, no name in history. She would be erased from the story forever. But when DL looked back, she realized something chilling. Her medical appointments matched Meghan's public photos almost to the hour. When Meghan appeared at an event with that early pregnancy glow, DL was enduring the first trimester nausea. When Meghan's bump started showing, DL's belly was truly growing. It was synchronized too perfect to be coincidence. She even said the IVF cycle started before the world knew Meghan was pregnant. Before the announcement, before the glossy magazine covers, DL was already in the clinic, already undergoing treatments. It's like the story had been planned in two layers, one for the public eye and one that stayed locked behind closed doors. And here's where people's jaws dropped. DL says it happened twice, two separate pregnancies, two 9-month journeys that she lived through while Meghan lived out a performance. But the worst part? The contract didn't just silence DL for those months. It was built to erase her existence completely. She wasn't supposed to ever speak, ever exist in this narrative. One woman got the flowers, the praise, the headlines. The other got silence. DL said she watched Meghan cradle that bump on magazine covers, and it broke her. She couldn't say a word. She had promised, or rather, she'd been forced to promise. Yet something changed recently. After years of fear, she discovered that parts of the NDA couldn't be enforced internationally. That loophole gave her the courage to finally speak, and when she did, she didn't hold back. She revealed ultrasound images, 2 of them with her name and medical ID printed right on the top. One dated 2019, the other 2020, the exact years Archie and Lilibet were born. And she didn't stop there. DL had bank statements, wire transfers routed through shell companies, money that was supposed to be her compensation. Some payments arrived, others didn't. She says she never got the full amount. But those transactions trace back not directly to Meghan or Harry, but to the financial managers who handle their accounts. She even described the NDA, brutal was her word. Threats of total financial destruction if she ever spoke. Her silence wasn't a choice, it was survival. For years, she kept quiet until she found that legal gap that freed her to speak publicly. And now, she's not just talking, she's challenging. DL said she's ready for a public DNA comparison, not behind closed doors, not privately, but on camera, in front of independent experts. If I'm lying, she said, you'll know in minutes. That kind of confidence doesn't come from someone making things up, because DNA doesn't bend for publicity. Either you're biologically connected or you're not. When she said that, the internet froze. Because how do you respond to something that definitive? If Meghan and Harry ignore it, it looks like guilt. If they accept, the truth comes out one way or another. People began revisiting old videos. Remember that moment when Meghan bent over and her baby bump folded? It went viral back then, brushed off as a weird camera angle. But now, with DL's story in the open, people can't unsee it. Pregnant bellies don't fold like that. And then there's the birth itself. No hospital photos, no staff sightings, no royal tradition of showing the newborn to the world outside the hospital. Just Harry standing awkwardly by horse stables, announcing that Meghan had given birth. He looked tense, unprepared, as if even he didn't know how to explain what just happened. The palace said it was about privacy, but looking back, that silence feels less like privacy and more like strategy. Because if Meghan never entered a hospital, there was nothing to photograph, no labor, no delivery room, no exhausted mother moment. Just a statement, a photo, and a story. When DL spoke, those controlled royal images started to crack. The secrecy, the distance, the perfectly timed appearances, they all look different now. Not protective, but protective of something. Because if DL's telling the truth, the control wasn't about protecting a child. It was about protecting a lie, and just when people thought DL had said everything, she revealed one last twist. Prince Harry wasn't some clueless husband caught in the middle of his wife's choices. According to her, he was there from the beginning. He wasn't just aware he was involved. DL says he attended appointments, signed documents, even looked her in the eye during consultations. She remembers the way he spoke calm, polite, but distant, as if this was just another formality. He wasn't confused. He wasn't being tricked. He knew. And that detail changes everything. Because suddenly, Harry isn't the innocent husband supporting his wife's decision, he becomes part of the secrecy. DL says he put his name on the paperwork, both his and Meghan's signatures, side by side. That's not something a man does by accident. That's agreement. That's participation. And if that's true, then this wasn't Meghan's private secret. It was their shared plan, carefully crafted, mutually protected, and deeply hidden. People close to Harry say he's not the same anymore. He's anxious, paranoid, short-tempered. He's cut off old friends, snapped at staff, constantly checking what's being said about him online. That's not the behavior of a man at peace. That's the behavior of someone haunted by something he can't admit. He left the royal family to escape pressure, to find freedom. But if DL's story holds weight, then he didn't escape anything. He just traded one secret palace for another. The walls he built for privacy have become his prison. Every public statement, every family photo, every documentary now looks like a performance meant to keep the truth buried a little longer. DL says she understands the silence. She lived under it too. But the difference is she's not afraid anymore. She's shown her medical records, her ultrasound images, her payment logs, her NDA, and she's not backing down. Her challenge for a public DNA test still stands. No more hiding, she said. If I'm lying, prove it. And that's what makes this so explosive, because no public statement, no PR spin, no palace denial can silence a DNA result. Either she's connected to those children, or she isn't. It's black and white. Now, Meghan and Harry's PR team has gone completely silent. No statements, no clarifications, no denials. Just quiet, the same kind of quiet that once protected them but now feels heavier, suspicious. Because silence in the face of a direct DNA challenge speaks louder than words. The internet is divided. Some call DL a liar, others say her evidence is undeniable. But no matter where people stand, one thing is clear: the fairy tale is cracking. The perfect royal image, the modern love story, the flawless family portrait, it's all starting to look like a script that's falling apart. And as DL steps out from the shadows, reclaiming her erased existence, the world is watching. The walls Meghan and Harry built around their lives are shaking. The truth, whatever it is on its way out. And when it finally comes, it won't be whispered and gossip anymore. It'll be undeniable. Because once secrets this big start slipping through the cracks, they never go back in.